Lost on Lost Season 2, baby!
Hell yeah!
We've watched Seasons 1, 2, and 3 of Lost, and we've learned a lot.
Did we?
And we've learned to love Jack, Kate, Sawyer, Boone, and Claire.
Did we?
But now it's time for Seasons 4, 5, and 6.
That's right, we're still going to talk about the mysteries and mythologies of the island.
And obviously hot tropical hookups.
But now we're going to talk about things like the freighter,
The Others,
Charles Widmore,
The Lighthouse,
time travel,
9/11,
Ronald Reagan,
the Catholic Church,
Titus,
Gold Chains,
the military-industrial complex,
the Prison Industrial Complex,
the Void,
The Orb,
and so much more.
So strap on and strap down, because if you thought last season was confusing,
This is going to be so much worse. Or better if you like being lost on Lost. Strap on?
you heard me.
Ooh, welcome everybody to Lost on Lost. Hey, I'm JP Russell, and I'm joined as always by a man who flashes on a plane, Adam Busher.
I mean, flashes, I don't think is appropriate to flashed and now can't fly anymore.
Right, that's it's the incident. That's what I'm referring to. Yeah,
Yes,
it's our incident here.
The
on Lost on
incident,
Lost.
part 1 and 2. Part one was me whipping it out. Part 2 was me talking to the police.
Part 1 was you whipping it out. Part 2 was you getting loose for 1 second from the air marshal, flashing again, and then getting tased.
He tried to put the handcuffs on my wiener, but it slipped. There's a small... Never mind.
Hey, we've got guests.
We're so proud to be here.
We're here.
Why?
We're here. That's what I'll say.
Oh my gosh. Lost on Lost faithful. We've got not one, but 2 new guests on the show tonight.
Woo!
So how do I the Dunns?
Dunn did it.
Dunn did it.
Better get it done. Honestly, it's rife for puns.
Yeah, I know. I've been getting it all my life. You've only been getting it the last, what? How
Long have we been married? Tick tock, tick tock.
9 years.
Well, going alphabetically, we have Bridget and Cullen.
I am Cullen.
Good clarification. I'm Bridget. Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you.
We've not done, I don't think we've never both been on the same podcast before. I've done like at least one other one.
This is my first time, guys.
Yeah.
Bridget, I heard your episode of All Things Considered a couple years back, and that was
Oh, really?
yeah, that was
Oh,
really
my
good.
God.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
Lost on Lost remembers.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
But yeah, some Comedy House alum. We all performed together at the Backlot Comedy House in Oshkosh, Wisconsin for a number of years. Bridget, you probably had the longest tenure there out of the 3 of us.
Out of the people that have been on the podcast, yeah, I think so. Because I started around in 2013-ish and then left to move to Madison. So yeah, in 2019. So 6 years.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Good
we had
memories.
A lot of fun.
Well, and Cullen, you kind of got brought into it because Bridget was doing it, right?
It was Bridget's thing for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm not one to step on toes.
Sure.
Like I was waiting on the sideline for coach to put me in.
And then I called him up to the
Yep.
big leagues.
She called me up. She said, "Here's that other guy's helmet. Get in there." I've been second fiddle ever since.
Well, we like to ask up top with new guests, like, what is your background with the ABC television program Lost?
Zero. Nothing. I know the vibe, the overall energy of the show from like the cultural knowledge that I was like, oh, it's a show that a lot of people were confused by.
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of people were dissatisfied with the end of, or so I heard.
And we can talk about this later, but I feel like more people were either neutral or satisfied with the ending than were dissatisfied with it, but it's always the negative voices that are the loudest.
Yeah.
Fair.
The people that were satisfied or neutral about the ending, you don't hear them talk about it because they just moved on with their lives. Whereas all the
Next
people
show.
who felt like they got burned by it, they won't shut up about it even 20 years later.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah,
But
so-
other than that, I was like, I think I remember there was a plane that crashed, allegedly. And then,
Whoa!
I mean,
She's coming from the place of assuming that nothing is what you see.
which was kind of,
That's
that
our
was my
experience now. So-
my background knowledge coming in was zero. I had not seen a single episode.
Sure.
And the extent of my experience was a girl I dated was a huge fan of it.
You
Never watched
dated another girl?
Yeah.
What?
Colin Fox.
Yeah, and if it weren't for you, Bridget, I might still be dating her. And I'd be miserable.
No.
This is
your mouth.
spicy over here. Lost on Lost.
No, but it was only her account of what was happening that I knew, and that was enough for me at that point in time.
Gotcha.
Well, when you're not watching a back-to-back season 6 episode of a 20-year-old television show for a
Thrown
podcast,
into the grinder, man.
yeah, what kind of stuff do you typically watch?
Came off recently a Brooklyn Nine-Nine binge.
Okay.
We have a 3-year-old, so like any time that we have time to watch stuff over the last couple of years, not risking it on new stuff as much. I'm like, I don't want to gamble my 1 hour a week on this thing that might not end up being cool. So
Sure.
When you're married and have a 3-year-old, you mostly watch what the 3-year-old wants when everyone's together, if you're watching something.
Yeah, a lot of Bluey and Miss Rachel.
Oh, Bluey, 100%.
Yeah, there's some
YouTube's desolate wasteland. We'll never touch
it's
it.
nightmarish.
Do you guys want to talk about some Lost?
Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
Oh,
So
man.
excited.
Yeah, we are talking about LAX, which is the first and second episodes of season 6 of the ABC television program Lost. It is the 104th and 105th hour of the show overall. It aired originally on February 2nd, 2010, and it was written by Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse and directed by Jack Bender. Our centric characters are various. This is a premiere or a season premiere, so those are almost always written by Lindelof and Cuse. Jack Bender's one of their in-house directors. JP, do you have a recap?
I do.
Let's hear it.
Season 6 is starting off with a bang on the island. They're still on the island. Remember how we ended last season with having to watch an emotional scene of Juliet dying? Remember how we were all emotionally drained and super glad we'd never have to do that again? What if we did that again? On the other side of the island, Jacob's followers, I don't know, learned something about old Johnny Locke. He loves walks on the beach. He loves his best pal, Richard. And what was that third thing? Oh, he's the fucking smoke monster. And in the Sideways timeline, a plot line so boring you'll root for another plane crash. Our heroes sit on an international flight, lose luggage, and wait in line to get a cab. Cool. After this LAX, I sure could use a LAX laxative or maybe some Laxapro. Either way, I'll have whatever Saeed's having. Let's get into LAX here on Lost on Lost.
Oh,
Beautiful.
my God.
Succinct.
You need some back medicine because you must have thrown it out reaching for that joke at the end. Holy shit.
Yeah, I was trying to write a joke about Saeed going in the water looking like a deep fryer, and I was going to be like, are you going to tell me a shrimp fried this main character? But
That
Creole
would've worked.
doesn't look good on you.
Jeepers. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you said it. So, Bridget, Cullen, thank you for coming, and we'll see you.
that's it.
That's
All
it.
right,
That's
well,
the end.
goodbye.
We got a pretty low T2J for this episode, about 8 seconds. We open on, I guess the chronological audience wouldn't know what this is. This is a flash sideways. This is a convention introduced in season 6. It is an alternate timeline in which Oceanic 815 arrives safely at LAX as opposed to crashing on the island.
That was my theory because
Okay.
I was like, it seems like they're presenting a lot of moments where things could go a different way. Someone moved a seat, someone went to the bathroom, someone didn't swallow a bag of Coke. And
It's heroin. He's classy.
yeah, I don't know.
You
I'm
got
not a
that backwards,
doctor.
dude.
But it seemed like they were setting up a lot of references that might be interpreted as like, this is where everything could have gone butterfly effect very differently.
Right.
Yeah, we got there pretty quick. I'm glad there's a name on it now.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Sideways
concerned
timeline.
about.
Yeah. So they're showing us here that, hey, maybe it worked.
Maybe. But yeah, it's very similar to the scene that we have come to know. They have shown scenes of the plane prior to crash in a smattering of episodes, but same sort of thing. You know, Jack's drinking his drink, he talks to Rose, yada, 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 hit some turbulence.
Everything basically up until the first batch of turbulence is
Right.
almost exactly what happened in the pilot. Cindy stops by. That's not a strong response. It's not a strong drink. Here's some extra booze. You know, like it's all almost exactly pilot. The only real difference is that Jack has shaved.
A confusing version of Groundhog's Day.
But then, this turbulence hit. They hit this pocket of turbulence, and the plane
doesn't break in half.
Yeah, the plane in the original timeline lost his shit and went all over the place.
When they do this bit where like the guy comes back from the bathroom and he's like, I know what the laundry feels. And I was like, you're like 80. How did your bones not disintegrate?
He'd have gotten snapped in half like a Kit Kat.
Yeah, like legitimately. I was like, there's like luggage falling out of the upper rack. First of all, we don't know if that fell on someone. It looked like it did. It was just such a delight.
There's a small luggage related moment near the end of this episode in which Saeed is pulling his bag out of the overhead and he straight up just drills an extra behind him with the strap of his bag. And it's like a leather strap, and I'm like, ooh.
That stung.
Yeah. A lot of these season 6 episodes I'm seeing with a very interesting lens. And so to see, like I wrote down when Rose and Jack are talking about the turbulence, and the turbulence ends and she turns to him and she says like, it's okay, you can let go now. And he's like holding onto the armrest. He's like, oh, it looks like we made it. It sure did. You know, it's so interesting to hear that, having seen the show before, and you guys are just like, whatever. This old lady seems nice.
There was a lot of moments, like the way that they set up the shots, that I was like, I was waiting for a clue visually that this was not real.
Sure.
And the first one that I thought was that exact scene when she's like, you can let go now. And he's looking down. I thought it was going to show that she was actually in the seat next to him and he was holding her hand.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. Yeah.
Yeah, because they changed the shot or the angle of it so that she appears very close. And then it just shows the armrest with his hand covering most of it. And so I was like, wouldn't that be interesting? That would be a clue that everything is not as it seems. I think I went into this like primed to not believe.
We were both just like searching for random things. And
Sure.
they clearly draw attention to little things here and there. Like you said, the drink.
Yep.
The comments about the drink. Now the grabbing of the armrest and stuff. We were just looking for things that were relevant to something we've never seen before.
No, it's just her going, you can let go. And then he goes, thanks. And just lets out a little toot.
I'll let go.
A very handsome Scotsman takes an empty seat next to Jack.
Holy fuckaroni. So this will mean nothing to you two, but
This would be the clue that would tell you that everything's not fine.
we might have to have a 90-minute conversation about how confused I am now because of Desmond in this scene.
Why are you confused? Let's just do it now.
Okay, sorry.
90 seconds. You have 90 seconds.
You can tell us about Kane. I mean,
90 seconds. I realized that I don't understand how the sideways timeline works, and if the sideways timeline people merge back into real-time people, because I kept screwing up them trying to get back on the island from season 5, getting back on, and sideways timeline trying to get back on the island, and now Desmond being here, I know Desmond has to get the sideways people convinced back to go back to the island in the sideways timeline, and I'm super fucking lost.
Yeah, because those of us that have seen the show, like JP, you've seen episode, like in the primary timeline, not in the flash forward timeline, in 2004, where is Desmond?
He's in the hatch.
He's in the hatch. So there's no way he should be on 815 sitting down next to Jack.
And if he is, shouldn't he be aware?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so fucking lost.
Yeah, it's great. And so then Jack looks out the window, and we have this really cool, long, cheap CGI tracking shot.
Wow.
Through the clouds and down into the ocean, and then we're on the ocean floor.
Dharma shark.
Then we see a Dharma shark.
I was waiting for credits to roll.
Oh,
like,
shit.
or you know how this would be? Like, this would be the beginning of when you loaded up a DVD from like pre-2005.
Yeah.
This does look like the DVD menu.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then the DVD menu would come up when they pause on the foot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And if you
the
click a
buttons
fish,
play
you get
all
the
episodes set up.
Bubbles periodically rise through the menu.
That's
yeah.
right.
The shot stops on the four-toed statue deep under the ocean, so the island is submerged.
Damn, all that, and she got feet.
We smash the lost card, and then we cut to the prime timeline.
Basically, the recap of the episode.
Yeah, we have a couple of quick clips from the incident. Jack dropping the bomb going off, the flashing to white, and then we open on an eye drink. Kate wakes up in a tree.
In the most, like, cartoon-ass way I've ever seen.
Dude, this was absurd for us.
Well, and just like watching her, because I was like, you're clearly like laying back, reclined, and then her being like, wow, wee. Wow, what?
Fucking Tex Avery sound effects
Yeah.
are missing.
No,
Like,
100%.
I thought it was pretty great that out of everybody who apparently survived the incident, she was the only one who ended up in a tree. Everybody else just ended up on the ground.
Well, everyone else died apparently. So not everyone, but like there's a whole group of people around the rim that were just like
right.
dead. And she's like, I guess we got hit by the blast. And I was like, you got blown into a tree.
You would be liquefied.
The only thing that happened is that you had like a rough wake up.
I was dumbfounded by this because I'm like, okay, they dropped an H-bomb down this thing. They were all in very close proximity to that.
Yeah.
And she woke up in a tree, seemingly 10 yards away from the blast hole in the ground, completely unscathed.
And the tree
in a
has
tree
all
that
its
is
leaves.
completely intact.
She has all of its leaves.
Completely intact. And then she's like, can't hear so good.
Well,
That'll wear off in 19 seconds.
yeah. Better get back to rummaging around.
Yeah, she appears to be alone. She's like looking around. Yeah, she hypothetically should have some compatriots around, but she can't find anybody before too long, though, while she's shouting. Miles does come wandering out of the trees. He's having problems here. His ears are ringing, too. They stumble over to a huge crater in the ground. It dawns on them that this is the wreckage of the Swan hatch from season 2. And
The dead people.
that means they must be back in the present 2007.
So did they blow themselves into the past?
They blew themselves into the future.
From the past.
Not less confusing, by the way.
Yeah, the only marked difference in their existence now is that they are in a period of history in which they actually belong. They have traveled forward from 1977 to 2007.
Right.
And that was not their goal when they committed the incident.
Sawyer's pretty pissed off.
Yeah, they find Sawyer and Jack also, passed out by the thing that wakes some folks up. Jack's like, what the hell? I'm really confused. I think my head hurts a little bit. I really hope somebody doesn't kick me in the side of it.
Into a real deep hole.
Sawyer's pissed off beyond the use of consonants.
Yeah.
Joya!
It's Cajun. But yeah, Sawyer drills him, and that would, knock him unconscious again, but it didn't.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, Jack ends up in the hole. Sawyer's super mad that it didn't work. He's like, hey, he's flipping out. Cut to the flash sideways back to the alternate timeline. Jack goes to use the restroom. He bumps into Kate and her buddy Eddie by
Eddie.
the bathroom.
They have a little meet cute in the airplane lavatory, just like every meet cute.
I was waiting for her to pickpocket him. Was that not what happened there?
She did.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll talk about it later.
Oh, is that where she gets the pen?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Doing
gonna
some
say.
shifty-eyed stuff this whole
yeah,
time.
Remember,
Yeah.
later, Jack is looking for his pen. He doesn't have it. Then later, Kate has a pen.
Oh.
She the spring drops on the floor. Of the
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
a
I
bit-
did not catch that.
A little mini through line for them. Yeah, we don't follow Jack here. We don't really follow anybody. Sawyer also walks by Kate and Mars when they return to their seats. Dr. Leslie Ars is harassing Hugo.
I love that we keep getting Leslie back on the show.
Yeah. Talks about winning the lottery and Ars fucks off. But let's just say we think that Sawyer is a con man, right? That's who we know Sawyer as. So he's like,
Right.
hey, you shouldn't tell people you won the lottery. People will take advantage of you. And Hugo says something really interesting. Nothing bad ever happens to me. I'm the luckiest man in the world.
Right. He's embraced the numbers.
Yeah. And so that's another big old difference between the Hugo we know and love and this version here. We cut back to the jungle. Jin and Hugo are by Saeed and the van.
Saeed's not doing too good.
Yeah, Saeed's real banged up. He had gotten shot in the previous episode.
But it doesn't matter. No one's putting pressure on that wound.
Yeah,
or
no, it's
doing
fine.
anything other than providing a loving shoulder squeeze.
The van is his safe haven.
Yeah.
Hugo is canonically very afraid of blood.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
So there is that. But yeah, they're not doing, Jin is there. He could do something, but he doesn't. He's also been bleeding for about 9 hours. So he's wet.
And he had a nuclear bomb go off in his face.
Yeah, he should look like a squeezed out tube of toothpaste at this point. He's empty.
Yeah. Oh, you're about 5 quarts low.
Yeah.
We've got half an hour left of this episode, and within the show, probably 12 hours of real timeline time
Yeah.
before they take him anywhere to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of time that passes by, apparently he's bleeding so slowly that it might just be scabbing over.
He's got that thick blood.
Yeah, he's very dehydrated, so it's flowing real thick.
Kate hears some shouting. Juliet is, I guess, still alive underneath all of the wreckage.
Devastating. I have grown very fond of the character Juliet in the 10 seconds I saw her in the recap, and I'm glad that she's safe and sound.
Yeah.
I liked watching people lift off an empty, like, spray-painted interior of an oven.
Yeah.
Struggle with, like, a 3-foot section of an I-beam.
Yeah.
Between 6 adults.
Oh, we'll talk about more I-beams later.
If it had been actual sheet metal, I was literally just thinking every time I pick up sheet metal, I cut my hands. I'm like, this is clearly like cardboard that is spray painted.
Well, yeah, like one part of it literally looks like just like sections of something that they spray painted.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
It was very light and flimsy looking wreckage that they were doing just a yeoman's job of acting like it was very heavy.
Yeah, my favorite anytime we watch somebody on any show pretend that something is heavy, especially when two people are trying to lift it, is watching which one's the pusher and which one's the puller. Because someone is doing their whole job of pretending to pull but just pushing, which gives the other actor a great win in being able to be like, I really can't pick this up. It's just a lovely to and fro, and especially when there's a group of people, you get to pick one, and it's real fun to watch.
The one that always kills me is when people are handling luggage, and we saw a bunch of that in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that people on TV don't bring stuff with them? They just bring bags.
Yep. Just my bag. I just bring it for a walk around the world.
Yeah. Back up at the van, Saeed believes he's going to hell, and he's probably right.
Yeah.
Look, I love Saeed. I think he's a great character. Dude's done some bad shit, and if there is an afterlife, yeah, he's not going to the nice part of it. Hugo hears some rustling off in the woods.
Yeah.
So he goes and grabs the pistol that he absolutely knows how to use.
Oh, dude, what's his line? It's like,
I have a gun and I know how to shoot it.
I know how to use it.
oh my God, I've had 3 times in my life where I thought someone was like trying to enter my house, and I was like, oh shit, is it go time? And as cool as I think I looked, I probably looked like Hugo being like, I have a gun.
Voice pitches up an octave.
Yeah.
I know how to use this.
I fucking love that Hugo doesn't know how to use a pistol.
Yeah, but he's ready to fucking pull up. He's like, let's go.
Jorge Garcia does a great job of not knowing how to use a gun.
But he's like, you are not going to touch my friend Saeed. I'm going to fucking roll up on you if you try and mess with me.
He's just rubbing it like it's the genie's lamp, hoping bullets just come out.
Because
Isn't that how they work?
he's doing the thing that he's seen on television, which is trying to rack the
Clack, clack,
slide,
clack.
but he doesn't know how to do it, so it won't go.
amazing.
Yeah. He goes off in the direction of the rustling, and there's, Jacob. It's Jacob. He's the one making the noise, and Hugo can see him. Cut to flash sideways. Jin and Sun observe Rose and Bernard. We cut over to Boone and Locke having a little chat as Neil Frogert sleeps between them.
Some chit chat.
Just some
McClaver.
Just some stuff that is kind of about back in the day, but not really that important.
Next scene.
Yep. Come back to the temple. The man in black, John Locke, Flock, as we lovingly know him in the Lost community. Flock and Ben are they're just like recombobulating after Jacob's death.
Big fan of Ben.
Oh yeah, we love Ben.
Ben's pretty spun out.
Yeah, Ben is just like beside himself.
But he doesn't know why exactly.
Right, yeah.
The man in black is like, hey, go get Richard for me, since like you're the guy who does what I tell him to do now. Go do this.
Ben makes stuff happen. And
He
that's
does.
why-
He's a facilitator,
Yeah.
and that's what I like about him.
Yeah, outside we have the cast of thousands that have been there, some others, some followers of Jacob, some survivors, and Frank.
Frank and Son specifically. And I guess the background people they're all what's left of Ben's others.
You're right, yeah.
And then like a couple of the baggage handlers, Alana and Brom, are there having a conversation with Richard. And off to the side, Frank and Son are like, what's the scoop? Like, what's going on? Frank's like, I don't fucking know what they said. They're the good guys, and they're like kind of like watch them argue with Richard, and he's like, yeah, but I don't believe that. It's like very astute, Frank.
Do you think I look like a guy who'd button up his shirt all the way or have any answers?
Right. I've been on this island for days, and I'm still wearing my pilot's epaulets. Do you think I really have a grasp on the situation? I'm just here to hang.
Yeah.
He needs people to know who's in charge
Of the epaulets.
of this conversation at the very least.
Yeah.
Ben comes out and he's like, hey, Richard, John wants to talk to you. And Richard's like, oh, really? Well, why don't you actually tell me who that is in there? Because that ain't John. And he drags him over there, throws him down in front of Locke's corpse. In that moment, Ben has his own little realization that things haven't been going the way he thought they were going.
Oh, I thought the realization of how good John looks in a suit.
There is that.
Pretty dapper.
Cut back to the hatch. Yeah, this fake ass I-beam is jammed, and so they're like, get the chains, get the van.
Here we go. Pushers and pullers. Who's a pusher? Who's a puller?
They're down here.
She's here.
Batman?
Sorry. No, that's Sawyer. He just doesn't do anything but growl, and it's infuriating to me.
Hugo and Jacob return to the van. Jacob's like, you got to take Saeed to the temple to save him, and that's how you can save him. That's the next thing you got to do.
Don't forget my guitar, though.
Yeah, grab the guitar, grab Saeed. Definitely don't drive the van to the temple. Just walk there.
Yeah. Pretty important.
No rush.
Down at the crater, Sawyer threatens to kill Jack if Juliet dies.
I feel like it's sort of like rings hollow because he tried to and failed to kill him the first time he thought she was dead. So the second time, I'm like, I don't know if I believe you.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't obviously condone the violence, but I understand it.
Guys, he's just very emotional, but in an angry, growly sort of way.
Yeah. Kind of like my cat.
Anyways. Roll this corpse into the van and let's see what we can do about it.
Yeah.
Cut to the flash sideways, back to the flash sideways, back to the plane. This is horrifying. This actually happened to me on one of my most recent flights. Was
you choked on a bag of heroin?
Yeah. No, they did the call over the PA about 15 or 20 minutes after we'd taken off. We had like an hour and a half in the flight still left, and then it was like, hey, just everybody relax. But if there's a doctor on the flight, can you make yourself known? And I was like, oh my god, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Was there one?
There was a doctor. Whatever was happening, it wasn't bad enough that we had to divert, but like when we landed, EMS was waiting to tend to the patient who was tended to on the flight. It's super, super weird and creepy and unsettling.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. It's so strange.
I had it on a flight earlier this year, same sort of thing. And they were like, they were like, is there a doctor on the flight? And then 6 40-year-old white nurses all stood up in unison. I was like, we got a whole fucking surgical team here. Let's go.
No.
Never felt safer.
It was somebody who did need medical attention, but it wasn't like they were going to die. But they were like, okay, folks, we're going to land really quick. So, everyone just stay in your seat, yada, yada, yada. And they made the plane go even faster. And I was like,
why were we going that fast?
Why are we going this fast all the time? I'm paying good money here. The person was fine.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, the flight attendants, the flight crew, they're trying to get into the bathroom. Somebody went in there about a half hour ago, and they won't come out, and so they're worried about him. The lock apparently has been tampered with. They can't open the door. And then for whatever reason, Saeed's just like, I got it, and kicks it in.
Not all heroes wear capes, man.
And then, so yeah, it's Charlie. It's Dominic Monaghan. I thought he was ODing, but I guess he's choking.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's what we're sort of led. I mean, he kind of is overdosing on drugs, if you think about it.
Yeah, you can overdose multiple different ways.
Just not in the traditional sense.
Yeah, swallowing a bag of heroin is overdosing, technically. But yeah, he's choking.
It will kill you.
Jack wants to emergency trach him. He's like, I need something sharp, a razor. And she's like, it's post 9/11. There's nothing sharp on the plane. And he's like, it's fine. I got a pen. And he's like, oh shit, no, I don't. What if that pretty brunette snatched it from me? He's like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to I'm going to resume attempting to check his airway with my fingers. And then, he's like, I got it. And he pulls out this bag of heroin.
He's like, no, that's not it. Puts it back in, keeps fishing.
Charlie snaps awake. He repeats his first line from the pilot, am I alive?
Cool. Next scene.
Do we ever see him wash his hands?
Oh, come on. Oh.
Like if the next time we see him in the sideways timeline is him wiping his hands, I'll accept it. But if not, I'm gonna assume canonically he never washed his hands.
On both ends of that. Like if he's about to reach into somebody's trachea, there's got to be some hand sanny in that thing, right?
I don't know. It's post 9/11, but pre-COVID. Nobody had a
fair.
hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he probably has vodka all over his hands, so he's probably fine.
That
From
did it.
spilling his drink.
That's perfect.
I'll take that on the way in, but on
Yeah.
the way out, I'm gonna keep my eye out this time to see if he does anything.
Yeah.
Implying.
If we don't see him wash his hands, we have to assume that Jack in the Sideways timeline has got Charlie throat hands.
And heroin bag hands.
Yeah.
Which God knows where that bag was before it was in his throat.
Up his ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Or someone's.
Ooh.
I mean, canonically, it was in his shoe, which is also gross enough.
Ooh.
Thanks.
Ooh.
That's where you draw the line.
It's not better.
It's 2024, JP. We eat ass.
Yeah, we're also sucking toes. Next scene.
Yeah. They use the chain to pull out the fake I-beam. Sawyer goes in the hole.
That is the most Home Depot the day before chain I've ever seen.
You got to get a stretch strap if you want to do that right, honestly.
Well, these metal ones are expensive. What if we metallic spray paint this plastic one?
Ooh.
That'll be easier for the actors to move, too.
Yeah.
Sawyer goes down in the hole and finds Juliet. She's pinned under a bunch of rubble. We've seen a little bit of Josh Holloway doing some decent acting around here, and I liked this scene between the two of them.
Oh, it's gut-wrenching.
Totally superfluous, but they are doing a wonderful job, both of them.
I'll give him credit for going full send, but no real person has ever done this.
Well, this is also, you got to suspend your
because he's
disbelief.
rescuing his girlfriend from a crater that was created by a thermonuclear device. You can't say that it's not good because it's not realistic. It's lost,
I
baby.
mean, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. The other thing that we have the history of Sawyer and Juliet too to work from.
That's true.
So like
Yeah,
this
right.
isn't in a vacuum for JP and I.
That's fair point. It all seems very outrageous to us on the face of
Sure.
it.
It did give me that vibe where it's like the hands constantly reaching out, never quite touching sort of relationship.
Yeah.
The hard thing that I had is that I always get caught up in these like emotional scenes. They have to be so close to fit in the shot.
Yeah.
But it always is like, especially after like a kiss, when they're like, tell me what you want to tell me or whatever. And they're talking like into each other's tonsils.
Yeah.
Or this, like we're looking at a screen right now where he's like holding her head, hair, and chin. And he like says something at one point where he's like, I'll never let that happen. And he's got his hand on her neck. And I'm like, yeah, because you're going to kill her right now with your love.
It is weird how everything is closer on film than it is in real life. So like you have to, when you're shooting things, be so much closer than you would in reality for it to translate to the screen. It is very strange. What is supposed to be sentimental or intimate scenes like this practically very strange.
I think my issue the whole time is that he doesn't look sad. He looks pissed off, which is valid.
Yeah.
Right.
But if it's supposed to be him mourning her passing away currently.
Well, and he does once she dies.
That's fair.
Like, he does flip it around. Looking back on it, I think that he did do quite a bit in this scene. And if it's just us lacking the backstory that led to us being like,
you've
this
softened
feels
Sawyer for me, guys.
Well, and also, I mean, he's better in this scene than he is everywhere else in the episode.
Right, yeah.
That's fair.
I'm generally not a fan.
No, that's okay. You got a good read on it.
The big takeaway is here that Juliet was willing to sacrifice herself for Sawyer's well-being. This is one of the things what she says, and that's that's the big thing. Hugo takes charge up by the van, lets him know he's like, Saeed's dying. Jack can't do anything for him. Hugo's just like, well, if you can't do anything for him, you got to let me. So let's go.
Go to the temple.
Yep. Cut over to the statue. Brahm and his team enter the little room underneath the foot. They try to kill the man in black once they realize that Jacob is dead.
I hate Brahm's face so much. And I hate his name.
Yeah.
And I hate everything he's doing in the show. And when the Smoke Monster Man in Black started doing his thing, I was like, this is great. These guys deserve this.
Beyond that, it's just really cool for the show to show us here. This is who this guy is. We've hinted at it. We danced around it a little bit. Here it is now. It's not John Locke. It's this mysterious force that can transform into a cloud of smoke that will destroy you, which he does.
Brahm does his little sneaky trick, and he has like a line of ash that the Smoke Monster can't cross. And he's like, oh. Yeah, he hits him with the Uno reverse, collapses the ceiling above him, hits him with a rock. Oh, you're outside of the safe zone.
Yep.
Wham.
Destroys him. Yep. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
This gives me like the Mummy, the Mummy movies.
Yeah.
Like when he's like sucking the guys dry.
Yep.
Who opens the. No,
Oh.
no, don't make it weird.
Oh, that Mummy. I've been watching the other. Anyways.
The other Mummy.
It's
Not
spelled like
Mommy.
Mummy. Yeah. Okay.
Not Mummy. But it gave me the same energy, which was it's cool to hear that it was like a big reveal.
Yeah.
Because it was very impressive and like gave us a lot of information in the episode even.
Yep.
It is notable that they didn't actually show him transforming into that.
I was thinking that to myself because I was like, I'm fine with them not showing him transforming, but I thought it would have been cool for it to show him reforming, like
like appear out of the smoke.
Like the smoke like slowly transforms back into his thing, and then he comes with the line, "I'm sorry you had to see me like that." I thought that would have been interesting.
That would have been iconic. Wow.
They had to spend all the CGI budget on the underwater Dharma village.
Yeah, exactly.
Poorly invested, in my opinion.
Yeah, a fucking reforming Locke out of smoke would have been fucking dope.
To the crater, the hatch. Sawyer tries to dig her out. It's not gonna fly. They kiss. She dies. She has one final line. Let me tell you something. He goes, "Go ahead.
Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something. Hold on."
I'm doing something. Let me tell you something.
I'm doing something.
I'm doing something.
And she doesn't get it out. She dies. Is sad.
I'd like to note before that it took a van and 5 people to move an I-beam off the hole, and I'm pretty sure he just shoved one off the top of her by himself.
Absolutely, yes.
So, maybe the sight of her gave him the strength.
Yeah, it's like a mom lifting a baby car
Exactly.
off her baby. Or a baby off her car.
Yeah. Or a baby car off of her fiance.
Or a car lifting a baby off a mom.
Right, that was, yes, thank you. That's what I was trying to get to. I was like, wait, hold on. A car lifting it? Yeah, all right.
There it is. We cut back to the flash sideways. We're on the plane. This is just kind of a little montage here. Charlie gets taken into custody once they've landed. Jack can't find Desmond. Desmond is now missing from the plane.
He's doing a tour de stade.
Yep. Rose and Bernard. We see Saeed looking at his photo of Nadia. Jin and Son. Jin looks at the watch. We all land and get our bags.
Slow motion, pad the time.
Yep, this is where Saeed whips that extra in the face with his backpack strap. Jack gets a clearly empty duffel bag out of the overhead.
Critical.
Boone and Locke shake hands. Locke has to wait for everybody to deplane because he still does need assistance getting off. He is still paralyzed from the waist down.
Maybe I've just never seen enough fancy watches in a case, but do they all have those huge 4 floppy pieces that you have to like hold apart, like spreading?
Oh, like the box itself has.
Yeah, the box has like these 4 floppy. We see him open the watch box twice, and he has to like hold back the lips of the box.
Don't call them lips.
Like, am I wrong? Why do they have those?
That's a great question. I've been asking myself that this entire time. Why are they like that? Like, for
what goddamn
it's so
reason?
confusing. You get
Are
in
you
there,
watching?
you're trying to like.
No wonder why I can't find 12 on a watch.
What boat?
The lips are in the way.
There's no man. There's no boat. There's no nothing. This is ridiculous. I'm going back to my Tetris game. Dad lied to me. That's the end of part 1 of LAX. Yeah.
Are you ready for part 2?
Let's do it. T2J on part 2 is 2 seconds. Very quick.
Low average on this pair of episodes.
James and Miles stay back to bury Juliet. Everybody else is going to make their way to the temple with Saeed's body.
They think he's still alive, though, right?
Yeah, he's still
Okay.
alive. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about resurrection here, man.
Yeah.
That's a different island.
Yeah, they still think that whatever they're doing is going to save his still existing life.
They're all covered with his blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are all covered in it. Oh, Saeed lost too much blood. He didn't lose it. It's all over everybody else.
Bring out your shirt.
Yeah, we still have it. We know where it is. It's not lost. They arrive at like a stone wall, and everybody's like...
I thought it was the temple, if I'm being honest.
I did
also
too.
thought
I
this
thought
was
it was the temple too. But they're like, how are we going to get over that? And I was like, what kind of stupid ass question is that? Like, whatever. And then somebody's like, we're not going over it. There's a hole. And I was like, there you go. There's the answer. Look for a door. Don't think how we're going to climb over it. Find a door. They go in the whole it's real Legends of the Hidden Temple down here. Like there's pit
100%.
traps.
Her like roughing over the skeleton and only taking, she dumped out what was probably like a full pack of useful stuff.
Yeah.
And it appears that she only wanted the matches, which I found a little annoying because they clearly have a car, which probably has like a cigarette lighter in it.
Right.
Like to me, like when she was like, we've got matches, I'm like, you're wearing flares and a belt. Why are you looking for matches if you've got all of this other stuff?
She dumped out bandages.
Yeah.
And
Probably like whatever that stuff you spray over an open wound, a card to put over his sucking chest wound.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. Could have tore the cover off of that Soren Kierkegaard's Fear and Trembling and like glued that down. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, maybe.
You know?
Have they all just seen enough dead human bodies in this show to just walk past and be like, oh, another one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there was no discussion about, oh, I wonder what happened to this guy. Maybe it has something to do with this tunnel we're in.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
The immediacy with which she bent down initially led me to believe that she was about to be like, is he okay? Like she was going to take his pulse or something. And I was like, I don't think. And then she immediately was shaking out the bag. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
We'll bring him with us.
Right? Pack him on top of Saeed.
You're going to pull through, buddy.
I mean, honestly, Saeed is not much better off than this like, one
Or maybe she thought it was
skeleton. Yeah. Like,
why'd you guys put him down over here in the corner?
Jin knows this guy. It's probably Robert or Montan from the French research team. He got his arm pulled off by the smoke monster.
Yeah, we haven't seen that one.
We haven't seen that happen. We'll see it eventually. It'll be great. Kate goes across this little crevasse first, and she hears some whispers, and she like goes off and scouts out ahead and gets snatched because of course that would happen.
The person who goes first.
Yeah,
gets snatched first.
Jack goes after her and realizes that she's missing and tries to go and find her. And then while he's off like looking for her, he hears Hurley and Jin and Saeed getting snatched behind him, and then he gets snatched, and they all get snatched.
I thought it was funny that she walked away with their main light source.
Yeah, the torch.
Like they've got this. You know,
Hey, you're
you don't
fine.
need when you're tiptoeing across like 4 inches wide of a ridge with a litter of an unconscious person actively bleeding out. Any amount of light.
Yeah.
You got that flashlight. Why don't you quit getting in my face? Let me go chase these whispers.
Lost cart smashes through, and we cut back to the flash sideways. Mars and Kate are at the airport, and she's got to go to the bathroom. She's like, hey, man, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Anything to declare? Just a fugitive.
Just a murderer.
No, just a murderer. You don't get to say whether she's a murderer or not. That's for a court to decide. She's a fugitive. Right.
She's peed twice in this flash sideways.
Got the bladder of a little baby bird, too.
The fact that he gives her 2 minutes, if that's a number 2, that's a non-starter for me.
This sequence here just reinforced to me, and I've had this question in the past. I don't know if I've ever vocalized it here on the show, but every time that we deal with Mars and his history with Kate, why doesn't he have a partner?
He does. He's got 6 guns in a briefcase.
That's not a partner.
Tell that to me and my 6 guns.
Every cop show that you've ever seen, even people who don't want partners end up with them anyway, because they're like, I work better alone. And then the bosses are like, too bad, we work partners. Here's your partner. And then he's like, well, and then the two of them create a relationship based on the mutual desire for police work or justice or whatever. If he had a partner, none of this going all the way back to the beginning would have ever happened, because every time she gets away from him, it's because he's alone. And she just fucking punks him and takes advantage of him because he's the world's dumbest cop and he's such a fucking clown.
In other episodes, he's got the goon squad with him, but those were all like in
They're
the
just
US.
local guys.
I wonder if like he's gone rogue.
Yeah.
That was my thought.
No, you know
He's
what I bet it
operating
is?
outside the law.
Canonically, if you made someone from the writer's room answer it, I bet they'd be like, no police department would pay for more than one person to fly to Australia.
Oh.
For an alleged murderer?
For an alleged murderer?
But again, if you would have just had a partner in the first place, she wouldn't even have gotten to Australia.
You might have a
There
point
you
though
go.
on that.
Yeah.
Edward Mars is the world's worst law enforcement agent, tied with the rest of them.
Yeah.
She uses the pen that she stole from Jack to try and bust out of the handcuffs. Then Edward realizes it because he steps on the spring, and he goes to try. He puts his head next to the door. He's like, I'm going to put my head right here. I hope nobody kicks the door into my head.
We're just having this interaction in this super empty LAX bathroom. Hey,
Every
Adam.
every fucking place in that They're always alone. The elevator, the bathroom, the fucking the security area where Jin is getting his shit rifled through. The fucking there's only 2 people in line for a cab. Give me a fucking break.
They used all their extras for the island scenes, and they couldn't afford any more. The same 4 people changing vests and shirts walking past in the background, hoping you wouldn't notice.
Now, I know I have a little leg up on most audience members because I've been to both LAX and Honolulu International, and so I know what both of those airports look like, and you can't confuse one for the other. So it's like bad enough that I already know that that's Honolulu International, but then there's fucking nobody there. LAX is like one of the busiest airports on the fucking planet. There's nobody in the bathroom.
The most believable part about this whole set of sequences is that she knocks him out, and then a couple women walk in, and she's like, "He attacked me," and they're like, "Okay,
gotcha, queen.
Yeah,
fuck this guy."
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna look into it, but we believe you.
Yeah.
Believe the victim. Exactly.
Well, and they're legitimately like, you know what? You've been through enough. You head on out of here with your suit, with your jacket draped suspiciously over your arms. We'll let you go.
Yeah, he gets jumped, and then she slips away. It's pretty great.
Slips her handcuff away is more likely, showing it away to him in the elevator.
Yeah, she gets on the elevator, ends up in an elevator with Sawyer. Sawyer helps her elude the TSA because they come over the radio. It's like, oh, we got a 314. It's like, what's a 314? It's confidential. How am I supposed to tell you if I see one or whatever? And then he lets her know.
I liked that moment, actually. I thought that was a great moment.
That's because Sawyer's a fucking genius. And
313 is raccoon in the slushy machine.
I think this is Sawyer's last appearance in The Flash Sideways.
Yeah, I think so.
The greatest thing about all this Sawyer stuff is that we know, you and me, JP, we know that in The Flash Sideways, Sawyer, like, he's being presented here as regular old con man felon Sawyer, but he's actually a Los Angeles police detective.
Yeah.
That just makes this so much better.
There are 2 things that I want as a spinoff for this show. One is a buddy cop with him and Miles show, and then 2 is fucking what happened to Cindy, man. We're going to get into it here in a little bit. Cindy needs a fucking episode.
Yeah.
I do like the idea that he's a cop and he's just like, you know what? I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
That's not my business.
100% the vibe I got.
Exactly.
Like, he knows exactly what's happening and is just like, you know what? This isn't my business right now.
Exactly. Work-life balance. Don't take it home with you.
Exactly. You know what? When you gotta get away, you gotta get away.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, she's a cutie, you know?
Yeah, why not?
She's
earning some
baddie.
brownie points.
So she's got some handcuffs on. It's no problem.
I'll put some more on her a little bit later.
Come back to the island. Sawyer asked Miles to stay with him because he wants Miles to find out what Juliet didn't manage to tell him in the last episode.
I gotta say, if someone asked me to stay and dig a hole for a dead body at least a few feet underground and then realized that they only wanted me to do that because of something else, I would have been furious. You could have just asked me. I would have said yes or no. But don't rope me into hole digging.
Right.
Sure.
Because you want me to talk to your dead girlfriend. Freshly dead girlfriend.
I don't believe that Miles didn't realize that was what was happening in the first place.
Oh, really?
I don't believe like when James is like, "Hey Miles, can you hang back with me and help me?" I can't believe Miles isn't like, "Oh, he probably wants me to talk to her."
I was just going to ask because Miles says in this scene, like, it doesn't work that way, but then it absolutely does work that way.
Yeah, I don't know why he said it doesn't work that way.
He says it like that because Sawyer frames it as, I need you to talk to her. He doesn't talk to dead people, but he can hear what their thoughts were at the end of their lives.
Got it.
In this instance, it works because the thing that Sawyer wanted to know was what she was thinking when she died. That isn't what he said. He said, talk to her.
Oh, communication, boys.
Yeah, but that's very convenient.
Yeah. It is convenient.
From a production design standpoint, everybody always in the jungle looks real sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
Miles and Sawyer look the most sweaty that I think any survivors have ever done. And like having done like landscaping for a living at one point in my life and like being that sweaty, they fucking nailed it.
Honestly, and to paraphrase Nate Bargatze, I don't know if you've ever dug a hole in your life, but it's maybe the worst thing you've ever done.
Yeah. Yeah, it really fucking is.
It's so hard.
I literally have dug graves before. It's bad. It's wild.
It's probably difficult with a backhoe.
Yeah. Digging's the least fun activity, period.
Again, we've talked about this before. I love that Miles' power doesn't really get any it's just a couple of camera angles and a sound. It doesn't get any flashy effects.
It was very visceral.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really great way to represent that it clearly costs him some emotional or mental strain.
Yeah.
It's not smoke. It's not whatever. He just hears it and says it. And we don't get to hear her voice saying it. We're not in on it. It's not ours. And
right.
It's fun as an audience member to have something in a show that's clearly so mystical, that has mystical, supernatural, beyond the grave stuff going on all the time. Mm-hmm. It does present it in a very raw, physical way without a lot of fanfare.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
I 100% agree. Cut to the temple. They arrive at the temple. The new others, Dogan's others, not Ben's others, or I guess
the other
Richard's
others.
The new
other
others.
Yeah.
They arrive. They have the survivors. They're there.
Those people.
What do you mean, those people, Cullen?
Those people over there.
Oh.
To the flash sideways. Christian's coffin has not arrived. Jack gets called over the PA. He has to go to the courtesy desk. They're like, "Hey, man, your cargo, we don't have it." And he's like, "What the fuck?"
Well,
what a great attempt at showing no person who ever worked at an airline would ever say any of the words that this guy said to him.
Yeah.
Where he was like, that coffin with the body.
With the body.
It never got on the plane. It was never on the plane.
Never put it
He's
on.
like, "Well, where is it?" And they're like, "We don't know." I was like, no one would ever say that.
Yeah.
Because later on, he even paraphrases for them where he's like, "They said it was in transit," which is their way of saying they don't know where it is. I was like, no. They literally told you.
Yeah.
They have no idea where it is.
No clue.
and he's like, "Well, I gotta have it. The funeral's in 2 hours." What if the plane had just been delayed, dude? What are you doing scheduling the funeral that close to your flight time?
Also,
Not enough wiggle room.
close the casket. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just
Just have
too
a
much of
funeral.
solution finder, but no,
yeah.
How many funerals have you been to that just didn't have a body at all?
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
I don't know. We're Catholic, so they always have a body.
You mean we?
I mean, I was Catholic. You're Catholic, aren't you?
I was.
Yeah. That's a whole 3-day affair. That's why
There's
I'm
a lot of
also
was
shocked.
happening
He's
over
like,
here.
"We're going to do this later today, and I'm flying back. My flight's going to get in." Was someone going to pick him up with a car, or did he have a hearse at
shit.
check-in?
Dude.
What was the
on.
plan?
He has a sick Bronco.
I don't know what the end plan was, but it was full of holes to begin with.
The problem was with Jack's plan is that it all hinged upon everything going perfectly, and why would it? This whole thing is a huge trauma response on Jack's part to just try to be over and done with it. And so, you try to smash through something like this, and the smallest wrinkle will throw your whole plan into disarray, which is exactly what happened.
I'm just saying, if he would have cremated his dad, he could have fit him in the overhead, and then no problem.
honestly-
That's a carry-on.
Yeah. No, yeah, that bag had plenty of space.
Not even a carry-on. That's a personal item.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, that's a backpack.
Very personal item.
Would have mussed with the line in the suit, but you would have been able to have him with you. He made his own bed for his dad to lie in.
We cut over to the temple back on the prime timeline. They have a conversation here. Dogan comes out. He's speaking Japanese. He is being translated by John Hawkes, who's named Lennon. We don't get any of these people's names. Dogan is played by Hiroyuki Sanada. Lennon played by John Hawkes. And they're like, "Who are these people?" And then Cindy, Oceanic A15 flight attendant Cindy.
Cindy has had a fucking journey.
Yeah.
I was blown away by that, where she's like, "They were on the plane with me." And I was like, first of all, you say they, they're a different species than you. They're not people that you theoretically crashed onto this island with. I was blown away by that, honestly. And then they didn't come up again in this episode, and I was like, maybe it's not that big a deal. Maybe it's not the same person, and she just looks really similar, but...
The reason I think that Cindy others the survivors so strongly is that because, and you wouldn't know this, they don't establish this in the episode, this is ancient information. Cindy was a member of the tail section survivors, which crashed on a different part of the island to Jack and Kate and Sawyer and the rest. And then she was also kidnapped by the others a couple of days after they crashed. So she basically became an other very quickly. And
Got it.
is now, so she spent her 3 years on the island with the others and almost no time with the survivors.
But she was also with Locke's people.
Yes, which is, because
was that after this?
Yes, what you're thinking of the time that I didn't recognize her, which is later in this season. Yes.
Okay.
The two extant groups of others right now, Dogan's others and Richard's others, there is some overlap in the past, but then they reconvene later in the season.
The what?
Good evening. I'm senior Lost on Lost time management correspondent Kimberly Davister. We interrupt this episode of Lost on Lost to save you precious minutes of your life. During this point in the podcast, Adam goes on to explain the many different factions of the others to the rest of the folks on the call. Yeah, Adam talked for about 10 minutes and sounded like a person on the brink of mental collapse. JP didn't understand or remember any of what Adam was saying, but that's nothing new. Bridget and Cullen politely listened, but were generally out of the loop. If you're worried that you might have missed out on any witty banter or clever jokes, trust me, you didn't. I listened to all 10 minutes of these chuckleheads, so you don't have to. Enjoy your time back. For Lost on Lost Time Management, I'm Kimberly Davister. Now, back to the episode.
You ever have that bad dream, that nightmare where you're like in a class and they're talking about stuff that you have absolutely no idea what it is, and you're like, oh, is this going to be on the test? That's how I feel right now.
I'm having that feeling right now, and this is our 97th episode.
That's insane. That actually comforts me. Strangely.
Okay. Cindy identifies them as survivors of 815.
Dogan's like, cool, wax them. I don't care.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Hurley's like, Jacob sent us. They asked him to prove it. He's like, look in the guitar case. It's got a wooden ankh in it.
See, I did say the word right. Ankh.
Ankh. Everybody say it.
Ankh. They bust it open. It's got a letter in it. Whatever the letter says saves the survivors from execution. Cut to the flash sideways. Jin and Sun have been stopped by security, customs, whatever. They don't like his watch, I guess.
Weird. Let me see the watch folds. Open it up. Let's see it.
Put them on the glass.
No, he's gonna find the money. We went
the thing is that the money isn't what got them stopped.
No, the watches. The watch folds.
Yeah, and so he's like, "What business are you in?" But like, then in the process of being stopped, then they find this stash of cash. Jin doesn't speak English. Sun purports to also not speak English.
It does seem like
I
they both
suspected
do.
that both of them did, but
he doesn't.
He doesn't.
Oh no,
he does now.
Well,
or then.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, he does then, but not now.
Yeah. But the one lady's like, if you speak English and this is all just misunderstanding, this would be a great time for you to pipe up. And she's like, no English.
She's like, I don't know. Maybe this whole fucking system is rigged, and it shouldn't be a problem in the first place, regardless of whether I speak English or not.
Yeah.
I also thought she kind of threw her husband under the bus because he told her to button up her cardigan on the plane. Yeah. I would have done that as well.
Yeah.
Cards on the table, babe. If you ever tell me to button up my shirt on a plane, I'll throw you to
TSA
immediately.
Yeah.
Bridge, I will never tell you to button up your shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're going to be randomly selected by the TSA for a cavity search.
Yeah. I usually get searched when I go off of planes, and they're like, sir, please put the flotation devices back.
I picture your pockets just bulging with them. Like you wear like spandex pants and put them in your pockets.
Before we get started, do you have anything to declare? Whoa, Black Betty.
What's with all the fucking questions?
I do declare I'm having a great time up until now.
Sir, you did not have a southern accent 5 minutes ago.
Oh, what am I, Willikers?
I need me a window seat. This flower is wilting. Jeepers. Cut to the temple. The others take Saeed to the deep fryer.
Did love what they were like, oh, the water's not clear. Is that going to be a problem?
Did you change the
was
filter?
Like, we'll see. That looks like very iron-rich water, to the point that I was like, when he's like, it's not clear, is that going to be a problem? And then he does this where he like cuts his hand and dunks it in. I was like, how many times have you been doing that?
Right. Maybe that
does seem like this might be your problem.
Right. Could be relevant, is all we're saying.
This drives me nuts. Why anytime somebody needs to get blood from themselves, they always cut themselves down the middle of their palm. Seems like a good way to like give yourself a pretty massive handicap for, however long that takes to heal.
But I think it's because if you need a certain volume of blood and you don't know how to get to a vein, cutting your wrist or forearm, you risk getting way more than you need.
Just
cutting the back of your hand is probably going to give you like a tenth of the volume. And you can compress your palm much easier than you could with one hand. To stop the bleeding is one hand. And then the back of your hand, you'd need to put pressure on it with your other hand or just like tuck it under your boob. And I don't
have one of those.
Well,
Peck?
That's your problem.
You can use somebody else's.
Yeah. If you don't have a boob, one will be assigned to you.
Or you could just have anxiety like the rest of us, chew all your cuticles off, and constantly have bleeding fingers.
Yeah, exactly.
Anxiety snacks.
Yeah. Nom, 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 nom.
And this doesn't answer the question for any other instance in which this happens, but I think the idea here was the water is not clear, so Dogan cuts his hand to put it in there to see if it'll heal it, to see if the water being clean will or will not.
That was, I thought.
Yeah.
But then we didn't see clearly whether or not it worked.
Right,
His
whether
hands
it worked.
still look cut. Like
it didn't even rinse the blood off.
Right.
That water's doing less than normal water.
Is there more blood on his hand now? How did that happen?
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, well, I guess it's like sort of working. We can put him in, but if we do this, there will be risks. And Jack is like, he's already gonna die, so like he can't die harder. So
what frustrates me about the show and why I think that I would have a problem with it is that it frustrates me to no end for like manufactured stakes for someone to be like, there are risks, and him to be like, okay. I'd be like, you know what's a normal answer to that when someone's like, there's risks? You'd be like, oh, what are they?
Yeah.
And then, but even if he had asked, the guy wouldn't have told him.
No,
it would have been like when the guy's
he doesn't
like,
know.
You know, it would have been when the guy was like, "What's in your guitar case?" And he just looked at him for like 15 full seconds, and they cut to a new scene. That made me so furious.
Arguably
just
my favorite
don't have
moment.
him ask or have him say, "Wouldn't you like to know?" and then cut. Don't have this cryptic nonsense. If I had crash landed on an island and someone was answering my perfectly valid questions about the metaphysical nonsense going on with a blank stare, I would punt his balls up to his throat. You'd be snacking on your nuts for a day. If you're not answering a question that I ask that's perfectly valid and you've got no reason to deny me information, what are we even doing here, man? Get out of my VW bus and roll down into that pile of I-beams and oven parts and die.
Swan hatch, yes.
Oh, God. And then I'm going to go and drown you in this fucking pot roast boiler that we got going on here in this iron-rich water.
Are you doing all right?
Do you feel better now?
I do feel better.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much. I don't like when people don't provide information, even if it's for narrative structure.
The funny thing here is, like, what if Lennon was like, okay, well, the risks are he'll come back to life, but he could get infected with some sort of soul-destroying disease that'll turn him into an evil zombie.
Classic.
And then we'll end up having to kill him anyway?
But then that'd be great. Advance the stakes.
Right.
Enrich them. Give me something.
Because then Jack could be like, oh, well, then we don't have to spend 25 minutes in 2 episodes from now covering that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they toss him in. They're like, all right, let's do it. Let's get the fucking Wizard of Oz hourglass out. Let's get him in.
But like,
exact same prop, guaranteed.
Here's my question. So Dogan's hand is cut, and he's like, I just gotta dip my hand in the deep fryer here, and it'll be fine. But Saeed, gotta get him in the water. Why is he gotta be face down?
So that if he wakes up, you know he's awake by him struggling to breathe in the water.
Can unconscious people hold their breath?
No.
What an absolute insane question.
Hey, great question. Asked and answered, though.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's the most clear conveyance of information. Also, too, here where they are all like, "You're just drowning him," and they do literally nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose they've got guns pointed at him.
Yeah.
That's the reasoning there.
Because I mean, Jack does like try to like go over there in a little bit and gets cut off. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, they put him in there. He's still for a little while. Then he starts to thrash, and then like Dogen watches the timer go out, and then they drag him out in like a literal like crucifixion pose.
Notably done.
I also love when Jack goes to check on him and he straddles him briefly.
Yeah.
You know, rarely in the ER do you see that move crop up.
Oh.
The straddle.
They would if they
vitals.
weren't on a table.
The stridles, if you will.
It's standard procedure when they're not on a table to just dangle yourself over the top of them first.
Friend of the show, Kim Davister, would be throwing a shit fit because he has like this nice little moment of like, okay, I'm going to relax my shoulders, and then does like the laziest chest compressions ever that are like the most half-assed, like.
I thought it was actually like a great portrayal of like, I am giving up. I have given up on saving anyone who I think I might be able to save, but this is me going through the motions of what my body has been trained to do over 8 years of medical school.
This is technically what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. I can't not do it, but my heart and my brain are not in this at all anymore.
Sure.
So like, yes, vile, disgusting, absolutely insane, easily gifable into almost any other sexual scenario. However, valid in the scene.
I guess the biggest problem is that like the last time he tried to do this, it worked. So
Did he do it the same way?
Yeah, it actually went worse because he got way madder, and then he just started pounding on Charlie's chest with his one fist, like he was trying to hammer him into the ground.
That's a weird cinematic trope for me, is that like the person who's like, live, damn you, and then they pound on somebody's chest and then they cough up water and they're fine.
Yeah. Exactly.
I did it to my dad at his funeral. I just pounded on his chest. He came back for like 2 seconds, coughed up some water, and died again. Anyways,
the hardest thing about trying to do chest compressions while straddling Saeed is my dick. Got to the flash sideways. Saeed gets his luggage from the baggage carousel. Arst is there. Kate is looking for an escape. She's trying to find a way out. She
can't go there. No entry.
She sees the door as she cribs the code from somebody who goes through it, makes her way out. She gets out to the taxi queue, tries to get into a cab, and Neil
tries to budge into a cab.
Yeah. Neil Frogert is like, there's a line.
We live in a society, goddammit!
What do you think? We're like on an island fighting for survival? Ridiculous. Get in line.
Yeah, so she goes and gets in line behind Hugo, who's wheeling and dealing, baby. What do you mean they got like a copyright on Outback? Just make it happen. Let's do it. Like he's grind set. Love it.
I mean, I was actually surprised too, hearing him say that he bought the chain because he won the lottery. I was like fully expecting him to be like, what else can I buy? Is there any more money left in my account?
Yeah.
And then he's actually like legitimately trying to make it like a bigger, you know. Interesting.
Well, I mean, he's got to. Otherwise, the argument against is, well, then why didn't you just buy free chicken for life?
Right, yeah.
Mars sees her, and because he's recovered from his head injury, he's organizing the TSA to help him apprehend her. And so he's like, hey, go over there. And then he sees her, and then he isn't like, hey, come back.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to send everyone who's helping me away.
Oh, wait, I saw her. Turn around.
No, and then he's going to like blindside somebody trying to get in or out of a cab on his way running to chase her.
Yeah.
And I was like, you are so bumbly fool. Like, if it would only be funnier, like, in this scenario, there's only one more thing that you could do to make this more ridiculous. And that's, like, if you trip and fall and you're holding a cup of coffee we didn't see and you get it all over your shirt.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Tripped on a banana peel.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
I do love, like, a crowd chase scene where instead of, like, the pursuer dodging and weaving between people, they just start shoving random people out of the way, like, get out of my way.
Get out of my way. Yeah.
You don't think that in real life some half of those people aren't like, hey man, what are you doing?
Right.
And like there's a fight and now you can't chase anybody because you're in a fight with 20 people you shoved.
Right. Kate's like, fuck this. I have a gun. So she just hijacks a cab.
Correct.
And she's like, I know he doesn't have a gun because I took it from him.
No, he does have a briefcase full of guns. He had it when they got off the plane, which I don't know how he managed to do that, but like...
He's the guy who, like, he should be in the video about don't leave your luggage unattended at the airport because it might be full of Glocks.
Oh, God. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. You know what I mean?
Is the blonde woman someone we should know? Too?
Yeah, it's fine. She's Claire.
She's Claire.
Has a baby.
She's pregnant. She's very attractive.
Unrelated but related.
We come back to the temple.
Again.
Cindy and Zach and Emma feed the survivors. Zach and Emma are two children that were on 815. Cindy was in charge of watching them. They're all one big happy family. This is Zach and
no one gives a fuck about them.
This is Zach and Emma's first appearance since the Brig back in season 3. It's neat. Some of the others drag in Sawyer and Miles. They got snatched off camera, and they're here now, so that'll save us a little bit of time wondering where they are. Lennon tells Hugo that he's got to talk to Dogan, and she gets him. And he's like, let's go. And then Hugo tells them that Jacob is dead, and that bothers them.
Bums them out.
What a bummer.
The temple, all of a sudden, it's like this little anthill of activity. They start flipping out, and they start preparing the defenses. They're putting out fires. They're getting out makeshift bamboo artillery, and
yeah, they got like fireworks and shit.
Yeah. They're like, send up the flares, and do all this, all this stuff. And they're freaking out. Everybody's like, it's all real awesome. And then I can't remember who, but somebody's like, what are you trying to keep us all out? And then Lennon's like, it's not to keep you in, it's to keep him out. And it's like, ooh, who do you mean?
Oh, we know.
We cut to who they mean.
Big Dark Daddy Locke.
Yeah, over in the basement of the statue, the Man in Black, Flock, and Ben are still talking. And the Man in Black has this little soliloquy about the death of John Locke, which we have not seen yet here on Lost on Lost. The Man in Black actually says something here that he admires about John Locke. He talks about how his life was so pathetic, but the thing that he admired was that he wanted to stay because he was, out of everybody on the plane, the only person that realized that the life he left behind was pathetic and sad, and he could have a new beginning here on the island, and he actually admired that.
And then it's the other neat parallel that he draws where he's like, that's the ultimate irony, is that I took this body of the one guy who didn't want to leave, and now all I want to do is leave.
Yeah, that's my only goal, and that's why I'm here. Cut to back to the temple. Hugo is saying goodbye to Saeed. There's an interesting little thing here. Miles is looking at Saeed, and he's got this really, really weird look on his face. I don't know if it occurred to all of y'all. Probably not. But, he's looking at Saeed very oddly because he can't hear him.
Right.
Looks a little alarmed.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks like really that's bothering him, which is cool.
So does that imply that he's not truly dead?
I think so.
Right, yeah. I mean, because by the end of the episode, that's how the big cliffhanger at the end of the episode is that Saeed does wake up. So but it's a little bit of foreshadowing to that moment. Is so I thought that was pretty good. Kate goes and tends to Concussion Boy. He got hit in the head with a rock, and she's like, "Hey, remember how before you said you were going to kill Jack? Could you not do that? Because I had sex with him, and I was thinking I might want to have sex with him again later, or maybe you. If you kill him, I'm not going to sleep with him, and I'm definitely not going to sleep with you." So
you're ruining my sleeping with people prospects.
So yeah,
don't ruin this for all of us.
Right. Yeah. It really only can get off if there's some weird triangle. So
and he's like, I'm not gonna kill him. He deserves to suffer on this rock with the rest of us. It's like, okay, cool.
Locke and Jack commiserate over lost luggage.
Yeah. It's kind of funny a little.
Sort of.
Locke's got a couple of little funny lines. He's making light of the situation, but then ultimately he does say something that I think is sort of impactful, kind of meaningful, I guess. Not huge, but he does say, "Well, they didn't lose your father,
right?
They just lost his body."
I will say though, that does seem to be the critical piece that he's looking for.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a read the room kind of moment when he's like, "They lost my dad."
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think that he's. I mean, yeah, he's probably seeing through the BS a bit to be like, you're clearly rushing all of this because you don't want to feel the loss of your father.
Right.
So, I get that. But also, if he is looking for his dead father's body because he's decided he can't have the funeral without it, for you to be like, your dad will always be in your heart. You'll be like, well, I need him in that coffin at St. Mary's in 2 hours. So
already paid the deposit.
You can't.
You know how expensive priests are? You'd be surprised.
Padre Francisco is the best fucking funeral priest in southern Los Angeles, and I had to book him months before my father died.
I got 6 hocks of braised ham sliced, waiting for dinner rolls that are drying out by the minute.
So many Subway party subs.
Oh my God.
The gluten-free, too. Do you have any idea how expensive those are?
Because I was raised Catholic, we would call it funeral hams.
Oh, yeah.
Sure,
the doings.
Yeah. It's the funeral ham.
Yeah.
I liked what Locke was trying to do here, just because
I agree.
I've said this before on the show. Like me and my dad, we used to dig graves for the church, and that was one of the things that my dad had said to me to help me and my brothers. When it didn't bother me as much because I was already well lapsed Catholic, and like it didn't necessarily bother me that much. But like my little brothers would help him too, and that's how he helped my little brothers get right with what they were doing. It's like, we're not burying a person, we're just burying a box. That's not, Mrs. or Mr. X in there anymore. Mr. or Mrs. X is gone. We're just burying a body. It's not.
Adam, one follow-up question. The church was aware that you were digging the graves, right?
Look, we really don't have time for all these follow-up questions. So, like, I think we're just going to have to move on to the next scene.
I didn't realize I'd have to bring receipts.
I will say this truly was one of the more sincere moments where it was like a human trying to help out another human.
Yeah, totally.
And that bonding of two strangers who are in a crisis, granted of varied stakes, like Locke losing his knife box versus Jack losing his dad
that's
box.
fucking Dorothy you're talking about pal.
It was touching until he's like, "What'd you lose? A box of knives."
Yeah.
And
I'm
then
sorry,
I was
what?
like, all right, more questions.
Yeah.
Because then he had spun that yarn about, he's like, oh, we lived out in the outback, we used our knives to hunt. And I was like, did you?
Yeah.
Because now I'm confused.
Well, I mean, he didn't. He lied to Boone, because I would lie to Boone, because look at his dumb, punchable face.
It's a very punchable face. That was mostly what I was thinking about.
This is the flash sideways. He might have gone on the walkabout.
No, he went on a rollabout.
Oh, God.
Earlier, we think he may have. But yeah, he didn't, because, yes, he is paralyzed from the waist down. But yeah, even that Boone, the scene with him and Boone, it's like, that's a person on a plane that you may never see again. It reminds me of when I was coming back from, not this most recent trip, but the trip back. Dan, if you're listening, I remember you, and I hope you're out there doing well. But I met a stranger on a plane, and we had a wonderful conversation between. I think we were flying from, it was either Vegas to Burbank or Denver to Burbank, and I was all set to put on my headphones and just like watch a movie. But like we got to talking about Lost on Lost. We chatted the whole time, and we exchanged some information. I follow him on Instagram, vice versa. And he was like, hey, man, keep in touch or whatever. And I was like, hey, man, even if we don't keep in touch, this was a great little moment of humanity. And I'm so glad that you and I had this conversation.
There's so many great connections to be had whenever you realize, like, you go anywhere and look around, and almost 100% of the time, everyone who's around you is there to do the same thing you're doing.
Yeah.
Which is like when you're in line at the grocery store, you have a sense of camaraderie. We're all here to get groceries. So, like, there's no sense getting pissed about the line moving slow or whatever, because we all want the same thing.
Right.
Same with, like, waiting for a bus or being on a plane with someone. Or we were at the museum today, and I was like, everyone else is also here at the museum to have a good time. We had a lot of great chit-chats with people around. Because we all want the same thing. And ultimately, that's a big message of this show, is human connection and connections and shared experience and all of that. And that's embodied really well here in what, Cullen, you said, like this one, like actually like sincere moment in the show, which I loved. It's like the old saying goes, strangers are just people who haven't subscribed to your Lost podcast yet. Next scene. So yeah, come back to the statue. Richard sees the signal and he's like, oh shit, that's the man in black signal. We've got a problem here. And then the man in black comes out of the statue looking like John Locke. And then everybody's going to clip him. And Richard's like, don't shoot him. And I was waiting for him to say, it'll just piss him off. Yeah.
This is one of my, also a favorite of mine, when he's like, don't shoot him. And then they carry him away, and still everyone's like, well, he said don't shoot him.
Yeah, he did say don't shoot him. It's what he would have wanted, since since fake John Locke beat him to death and is carrying his corpse into the jungle.
That's the extra fuck yous. I don't even need to go into my final form. I'll just beat you with this.
Yeah.
With these limited mortal hands.
Yeah. The last shot, I slowed it down a couple of times. I don't know how they did it, but you see Locke in frame carrying out Richard's unconscious body, and then they track along with him and then tilt down, and then you see Locke's corpse, and it's all in one like seamless shot.
Yeah.
It's really, really.
It's a cool shot.
If they built a dummy head or if it's a composite or what, but like you see John and then you see John again. And it's really, really well done.
It was pretty cool. Yeah. We come back to the temple. Lennon is like, "Hey, Jack, we need to talk to you in private." And he's like, "You can just tell me here." And he's like, "Oh, I wasn't asking." And they're going to have a big fight. But then you can see in the foreground of the shot, like Saeed start to move.
Yeah.
And then and that like kind of caught me a little bit. Like I was waiting for it to happen, but then I saw it. I was like, oh God.
I wanted it to be like not like you see Hurley, or whatever. Like I wanted it to be like more of like a horror movie shot where it's like you see the fight happening in the foreground and then Saeed sit up in the background.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
What was their policy on burying bodies that they were pretty sure were dead before this?
Otherwise, funny you should mention that. They did bury 2 people alive.
Well, that's what. Is that why they leave them out? Because otherwise, they're just like, I get grief, whatever, but like they're clearly like she shook apart a skeleton.
Yeah.
To get the stuff in its pockets. And they were pretty all okay with like everybody, like, I mean, they buried Juliet pretty post haste after they thought she had died and then she was not dead. Yeah. So I was like, I would have thought they would have started at least the digging party.
You know what always cheers me up? Digging a hole. So Saeed's alive and he's like, "What is up?" And they're like, "We are unsure. Come back next week."
To Lost.
Lost.
So,
did we like it? Was it good?
Yeah, LAX parts 1 and 2.
You can like something that sucks. You can hate something that rules. You can do something in between. You can do neither. But that's the first question we're asking here. Did we like it? Was it good? Bridget, why don't you kick it off for us?
I think my first instinct would be no, it was not good. And the reason why is that very little actually happened.
Sure.
Because again, like with 50% of both episodes being taken up with the parallel universe, there was very little opportunity for forward advancement. It took 2 full seasons to get like an almost dying guy to a temple and then have him
episodes,
not
season.
Or episodes. So I would say, in my opinion, not good from a pure outsider perspective, but it did make me want to watch the show.
Sure.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I similarly have been made curious by this.
Ooh, is this a Walken something?
I'm lost curious. I almost want to take the same track you guys are going and watch kind of randomly.
Just watch one here and there, put her on shuffle on Netflix.
It was fun and freeing to watch something in the middle of it where knowing what happened before is pretty important.
Yeah.
And just being like, oh man, this is wild. I liked it because I hated it. Like there was so much about it that I was like, oh man, this is rough. But it's like watching a terrible horror movie because you know it's ridiculous. But I think I do want to watch some more.
All right. Cool.
From this perspective, for sure.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Yeah, JP.
I'll give part 1 a yes and part 2 a meh. Part 1, there was enough that I was entertained by because of context. Like Desmond showing up just completely fucking fried my brain. The Sawyer and Juliet sort of emotional stuff. I was like, okay, at least, something's kind of happening here, yada, yada, yada. Part 2, I was like, God, we're spending a long time just getting Saeed to the temple. Yeah. But all of the Locke stuff I really liked. I'm digging the Locke storyline. So that for me, I was like, I'll give it a meh.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Adam?
This is just one of those episodes where the more context you have, the better.
Right. Yeah.
This episode is so much better if you know everything that's leading up to it. Without it, it's a little messy. It's got some good stuff in it, but again, we've said it before, Lost is at its best when it remembers that it's a character show. The character moments in these 2 episodes are the highlights of them, the Sawyer Juliet scene and then the John and Jack scene at the end of 2. Those 2 moments really shone, whatever. And around it, yeah, it's plot stuff that it's just like, if you don't know what's going on. I mean, they never even say Dogen and fucking Lennon's names.
Right. Yeah.
What the fuck? So, this episode's not made to rope in new viewers, despite the fact that both Bridget and Cullen are like, I want to watch the show now.
I know.
Right, yeah.
Well, that's
it's because
the thing.
we know nothing and we want to know more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I liked it, but I don't know how much of my memories were, how much heavy lifting my memories were doing.
Sure.
I'll give it a B.
Yeah, sure.
Plus ish.
Then let's hand out some awards for what we did like. The Lost MVP. Who was our favorite? Who did we enjoy? Who was carrying the weight of this episode? What person or thing was your favorite part of LAX parts 1 and 2?
First place for me is Locke.
Yeah.
Or
Hell yeah, let's go.
Smoke Monster, a.k.a. Man in Black.
Yeah.
Actually...
So not Flock.
Flock, yeah.
Sure.
Fake Lock.
Fake Lock.
Oh, fair enough.
Faux Lock, yeah.
But both, because you liked him in the parallel universe.
In the parallel
too.
universe.
So,
I guess...
You like John Locke and the Man in Black. They are 2 disparate and different people.
I did like both of them.
You can like them both. We can call it a tie.
I did like both of them, but I think because of the moment between him and Jack, I think I like real Locke better than Smoke Monster Locke.
Totally fair.
Smoke Monster Locke is my new DJ name.
All right, so we'll call John Locke your number 1 with Flock a close second.
I would say Flock is my number 1 because there's something about like a great villain. Even in these 2 episodes, we know his objective, which is he wants to go home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Assuming anywhere off the island. We can see his limitations, goofer dust or whatever they've got.
Yep.
We can see that he's willing to do horrible, awful things. And that he's cunning because the dust circle did not stop him for very long. Totally. I love a villain who has a straight set of rules and operates outside of them in a legal way.
Yeah,
like knocking him out of the ring, doing all this other stuff, tricking Ben into killing that other dude for him.
Yep.
Like, I love like a puppeteer villain. Plus, he has a great villainous face.
Oh,
yeah.
That is 100% what I was going to say.
Where they like turn
Bad
and
guy
pan
eyes,
away, and
100%.
he's got like straight V frown and his mouth is downturned, and I was like, wow, that looks like a bad guy. But then the actor does a great job of them being John Locke.
Who's just a sad, pleasant man.
Yeah. But I think for sure Flock, hands down, best part of the 2 episodes.
On this show, we just call that sex appeal.
Yes.
JP, what about you? MVP.
I'm going to be the inverse of Cullen. I'm giving my MVP to Flock with an honorable mention to John Locke for all the reasons we just said. The one thing I would like to add, because you guys covered it 100%. Like, I fucking love a good villain. The phrasing of "I want to go home." We know why the Man in Black wants to leave, but like, there's something about not just like, I need to get out of here. I must see the rest of it. I want to go home. You said I want to go home. I've said I want to go home. Your kids said I want to go home. You know what that feels like. And I can relate to that. So I dig it.
Yeah.
He wants the feeling of being home.
Yeah. Right.
There you go.
Yeah. I think that speaks a lot.
Nostalgia for something you've never experienced.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah. That's wild. I love it.
Yeah. Adam?
I'm just giving it to Flash Sideways John Locke.
Yeah.
So all versions of John Locke are represented here in various formats in the Lost MVP. The moment with
Love it.
Jack at the end was just so human to me, and it reminded me of a version of Locke that I think it is very easily forgotten this far into the show.
Yeah.
That he's just a regular dude. He spent so much of his life feeling kind of meaningless, but searching for meaning anyway. And I find that really, really great to see in a character. And he still sees a man who doesn't know, a stranger, in trouble, and he might be fucking up. That might not be the right thing to say, but he's still trying to extend an arm, a hand of humanity out to a stranger in their time of need. And
that's great.
I thought that was really powerful. So yeah, John Locke. So yeah, there we go. Flock, Flock second place, John Locke first place, Flock first place. Honorable mention, John Locke.
This is going to be so good for the end of season 2 stats. The flip side, though, the Lost Forever. Who are we going to drag? Who did we hate? Who fucked up? Who was King? What? I'm sorry, Adam. Who is it?
King Suck of Shit Mountain or King Shit?
Suck of Shit Mountain. Who was your least favorite person or thing of LAX parts 1 and 2?
It's because I do not have the backstory. It's Sawyer and Juliet.
Oh.
I know, and I think it's just because I do not have like the emotional weight of it because I don't have the backstory.
Sure. That's fair.
Without that, it rang very, very hollow because it was clearly she died of a terrible accident.
Yep.
It's not like she would have survived that fall to the bottom of a canyon and made it out fine.
Right.
And then she's the one who set off the bomb thing. Even if the bomb didn't fall down there, they didn't have a way of getting her back out. She would have died no matter what.
Yeah.
So his fury felt very weird to be like, you killed her. I'm like, I feel like maybe falling down that shaft is what killed her. And that seems like it was kind of an accident. But all right. And then the making out with each other's hands all over their faces and just
that
like
was
breathing
so
into
hot,
each
right?
other's mouths.
Yeah, gross. You. Yeah, like you said, without the context, it's very soap opera-y. Because, or not even soap opera. Yeah, soap opera, like daytime television. Like, you were supposed to be dead, but you're not alive, so I can get my final words to you, and now you're dead.
But yes, that was my Lost on Lost, was their moment, their relationship, everything they offer the world.
Sure.
I could have done without Sawyer in general on this one.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of shouting and glaring and brow furrowing. Island Sawyer.
Sure.
Island Sawyer.
I wasn't hating on
Flash Sideways.
Sawyer.
LAX Sawyer quite as much. There's still a lot of side-eyeing and giving me a vibe like he knew what was going on when no one else did.
Mm-hmm.
But, Island Sawyer could have just brought it down a peg in general.
Sure.
And I think everyone else would have been better off.
Sure.
That's fair.
And himself.
He did kick a dude in the head. That's pretty not cool.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, it's cool looking. It's not cool of a thing to do.
It's not kind.
Except it was Jack, so... No, I feel you. Island Sawyer, he is hard to vibe with in this episode, no doubt. JP, what do you say? Lost Forever. Dogan. That's
that dude
fair.
Fucking sucks.
The fact that he spoke English the whole time.
Yeah, I just hate how fucking smarmy he is, and like he is a road bump in the plot.
Nobody likes a know-it-all.
Yeah. Especially
when they
like,
don't tell you any of it.
Right.
Yeah. my antichrist of like I need to know. I brought that paper all over the world and through time. Tell me what it says. If your friend dies, it's not good. Like, that's not what it says, and you know it. You're paraphrasing.
I really hope that he doesn't get turned into shredded cheese by the smoke monster.
Adam, Lost Forever.
I mean, you know. He can't show up and not be the one. He was gone for so long.
And he came back.
We thought we were done with him, honestly. Like, why would he come back?
Is it Desmond?
No. Oh, God, no. We love Desmond.
Okay.
Desmond's the best. Desmond is like an angel, almost like a guardian angel. No, I'm talking about fucking U.S. Marshal Edward Mars. Dude, you suck. FTP, there's no such thing as a good cop. And you, my friend, are making it fucking just like so obvious. Like poster boy for the cops suck a ding dong. Man, I hate you. I hate looking at you. I hate your face. I hate your attitude. I hate the way that he talks.
The way that you talk.
He's not having a partner. Whack. His case of guns. Whack. The way he doesn't even smile when he talks. Whack.
Honorable mention the TSA.
Honorable mention. Yeah, the fucking the fucking airport cops and the TSA. You guys stink at this fucking.
And
TSA is the worst and only partner Mars has ever had.
Yeah.
Honorable mention for watch folds.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You're welcome.
Holy shit. Bridget, Cullen, Thank you both so much for joining us.
It was
great.
a genuine pleasure.
This was a lot to ask of you for your first introduction to Lost.
It was a team effort, though.
JP.
Yeah.
What are we watching next time?
Oh, man. Next time, if you're looking to be lost with us, we're going to be watching Season 6, Episode 9. Nice. Ab Eterno, starring Richard.
Yes.
Holy fuck. We're finally getting a Richard episode.
God, JP, I have
98 episodes into this fucking podcast.
I have no idea if you're going to love this episode or if you're going to fucking hate it. But
well, Nick Thorson is coming back and our audience is going to love it regardless because that's going to be insane.
Oh God, Nick. Poor Nick.
He's perfect for this. Are you fucking kidding me?
No, we're going to have a great time. We're going to have a great time with Nick Thorson's return. We're going to have a great time talking about Richard. We had a great time today talking with Bridget and Cullen about LAX parts 1 and 2. And I hope that you out there in Lost and Lost Land had a good time. And if you didn't, well, ain't much we can do about it now. You already listened to it, so
yeah, you sat by for 2 hours. Yeah. So thank you again, Bridget. Thank you again, Colin. Thank you, Adam, and thank you everyone out there for tuning in to another episode of Lost on Lost.
That's right. I'm Adam.
I'm JP.
Do you have any idea what's going on this show?
Nope.
Me neither.
Lost on Lost is produced and edited by me and JP.
We wish to acknowledge that we live, work, and produce our show on occupied land.
Burbank, California is located on the traditional tribal lands of the Tongva, Chumash, Kizh, and Fernandino Tataviam peoples.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin is located on the traditional tribal lands of the Peoria, Potawatomi, Miama, and Ho-Chunk peoples.
And Lost was produced in Hawaii on the lands of the Kanaka Maoli.
Visit native-land.ca to learn more about the land you live and work on.
You can engage with us on IG, Facebook, and Twitter at Lost on Lost 1.
You can also email us at wearelostonlost@gmail.com or support us with dollar monies at coffee.com/wearelostonlost.
Thanks to Lostpedia and its community of contributors, Danny Schmitz, random.org, and as always, you the listeners for tuning in.
We're hosted at Podbean. You can hear us there or wherever you get your podcasts, except MySpace. We're not on MySpace.
Yet.